Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, everyone, and it's Tuesday night, and welcome back to a new edition of our Google Expert Hangouts. The first round of the Women's EHF Champions League has just been played, and we thought what better way to start and getting straight into this with a special edition for the Women's Champions League. And for this first edition in this new season, we have a special guest, and I'm very pleased to welcome Andrea Lekic, Vardar player who's joining us from Skopje and has thankfully taken some time off before she has to join another video session. Hi Andrea, how are you?
Hi, Thomas. I'm very good. Thank you for the invitation, and it's a pleasure to be here today to chat about the best sport in the world. So I'm very happy that we can change some thoughts about this, especially first round in Women's EHF Champions League.
First hangout for you?
Yeah, it's first one for me.
Okay, we'll get you straight in there. Well, it's not the first hangout here for our experts. Bence Marta, our expert for everything Hungarian, who will fill us in all news about the new GUR. I'm sure Andrea will love to hear about this. How are you, Bence?
Fine, thank you. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here again.
Joining us from Belgrade, the second Serbian in the round today, Nemanja, who has had a peek look into Dragan Adjic's tactics book, and he's got it on his table.
Hi, everyone. Down there.
And our expert for everything Scandinavian, Peter Bruun, who joins us from his hometown, Frederikshavn. Hi, Peter.
Hi.
First of all, two things I want to say. Obviously, please, especially with Andrea here, do send us your questions at EHFCL as our Twitter channel and account. All the questions that pop up there, we will throw them straight away at Andrea. Also use, if you fancy this, the question and answer tool on Google. And just a little personal note, because this is my first hangout I'm hosting after having been away for 2 months. I want to say a big thank you to my colleague Chris O'Reilly, who's been doing, I think, 2 hangouts while I was away. A fantastic job he did. So thank you, Chris. But now let's get straight into it. Andrea, I mean, it's the weekend is already 2 days ago, but I think we have to talk about this game, and the start of the season for you obviously hasn't been anyway but perfect in the Champions League. If you look back at the game now, what do you think went wrong in this one?
Like this, I don't know, we were really working hard in lately last 2.5 months. I'm sad from the sporty point of view because we didn't show as much as we trained in the lately, but from my point of view, really we started, we didn't open even match good, on a good way. So as we opened the match, we play until the end. We started with very bad defense, and we let them, and we opened our defense too much for the really amazing shooters in that team. And this year, they are one of the biggest favorites for the winning of the Champions League. And very simply, if you want to win against them, you have to play your best, and we didn't do it.
Bence, what was the reaction in GUR and the Hungarian media after this game? Did they expect it? Were they surprised?
Well, I think it's a good question, because nobody really knew what to expect from this new-looking GUR team. The way they played in preseason and in the Hungarian Super Cup, everybody claimed that there was a lot of work to be done. So the first game of the Champions League season, first of the qualifiers, because strangely enough they had to go through a qualifier session. So it was a lot of anticipation for the team, but you know, there's a lot to rebuild in GUR now. New players, and of course a lot depends on luck for this team this year, because the season has just started and we have yet another injury, which characterized the previous season. So who knows? But the thing that I can say is that nobody expected to put up such an enormous game to play so bad. From that point of view, yes, it's a surprise. But it wasn't one for us, not such a bad one.
Can you try and move a bit closer to the microphone, or maybe you have a little microphone or so, because you seem to get like getting in and off. We're trying. I'm sure we're getting better. Has this already changed your season plan? I mean, because obviously with the system in the Champions League and the points you possibly take to the main round, I mean, these wins at home are very, very vital. Do you already feel a certain pressure ahead of the next match, Andrea, or is that something like this loss that you can easily put behind you and say, well, now we focus on the next game in Austria, and what happened in the first week happened in the first week?
Yeah, and exactly like you said, the last sentence, because we cannot, I cannot share the thoughts about that. This should put a big pressure on us. You know, you were expecting a hard match. We didn't. We were really hoping for the victory and going for this, but you know, it could happen that we could play better and lose on the same way. So you never know. As we won there in the quarterfinal last year, everything is possible. It's normal. We are not outsiders here, so we believe in performing much better matches in the next stages, and you never know. In every case, in Champions League, as you saw also Rostov-Larvik, it's this year I think it's going to be very, very hard to predict who is going to take it. So for me, it's of course it's really bad feeling that we lose the match, but we have to progress and keep going because the season just started.
We've got a first question here for you, which is a question that, like Barcelona and the Men's Champions League, also gets asked quite often. Will the lack of domestic competition put you at a permanent disadvantage in this Champions League season? How do you see that?
I can agree with you that it's very hard to get the form which you want during the matches, because we really have a lack of this, and it's not easy, you know, especially when you want to make the systems and you want to practice this. The training is not enough, but you know that we are in these situations, and you cannot choose. You have to focus to use what we can, and this is our way of thoughts. I'm already here for the third year, and I'm in this competition already, so I quite know how the things are functioning, and I really hope that it's not gonna destroy our plans. But in every case, it's very hard to perform on the highest level without good matches and without good league.
With the players you have, you're obviously always, or you've been named as one of the favorites ahead of the season. And I can say that both Nemanja and Peter, when we asked them, put Vardar among their first choice of Final Four participants. Do you think it's fair to regard you as one of the favorites, or do you still say, look, this team is still young? I mean, you've played together for one season. The changes to this season have been minimal, so to say. You've added Damjanovic, or would you rather ask to people to give you a bit more time to come together as a team?
I think that we have to aim high. This is my point of view, how we should watch on this season, because we are already third year in this competition, and 2 years we were on the Final Four, so I know how hard it is to get to this, but our ambitions are still high like the last years. So, but I think this year is a little bit different than the last years, because we have 5 or 6 teams which are really competing for this Final Four. It's more equal than the last years, by my opinion. So it's going to be very interesting, and also this makes me happy because we have good women's teams which are competing for the Final Four. It's good for women's handball. So we are going to aim high, and we are going to aim for the Final Four.
Which teams do you see as the 5-6 teams competing for Budapest?
I see last year winner Budućnost. Now I see GR Audieto, of course, and I see GSM Bucharest. Also there is Larvik in the team. Rostov is a very interesting team. We are there, so it's 6 or 7 teams which are completely Bayamare, a very interesting team. So you know, like I said, it's going to be very hard to predict it. But I see Vardar, of course, in one of the 4 teams.
Getting another question, I think you've already answered half of it. What expectations do you have for the season? If I remember correctly, you obviously want to reach the Final Four, is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
How much are you prepared? Ognan Stavkovic asked here on Twitter.
How much?
How much are you prepared? Do you feel ready for the task or the challenges you set yourself?
No, of course that I feel ready. Otherwise, I will not play this. You know, I think really we did a good job. I'm really, you know, like sorry that we didn't show what we trained for so much. Believe me, it was very hard these 2.5 months. But I really believe it's a first match, so I hope that we are gonna prove and show that we are ready.
Peter, much was talked about, obviously, halfway through last season about the coaching duo in Vardar between Indira Kastratovic and when Jan Pytlik joined. How is his role seen in Denmark these days? Similar to last season, or has it changed? What do you think?
From a Danish point of view, it seems to be the same. I noticed in the match against the that he was very active on the bench and as well in the timeout. So there seems to be some kind of very good way of dividing the responsibility and the work between him and Kastratovic. I'm sure that Andrea can enlighten us more on that. But it seems as if they got into a fine cooperation there, even though we didn't see the result on court Sunday, of course. But things can change about that too, and I'm sure we'll see more from Vara than we saw this weekend.
How does the cooperation, the work between Indira and Jan work this season for you, Andrea?
I think that we also needed that time from the last year and to the beginning of this one. I think it's even much more on a higher level than it was, because it's normal that we need time, as they need a time because it's duo, and they do it really good. So like I said, you cannot judge us by the first match, and I think we did a good one, and it's up to us to show, and then you will have more chances to comment their work when we show the right face, and then you can say something more.
What about next game in against Hypo this weekend? How do you judge this game?
You know, we don't have a right to think about if Hypo is a weaker opponent in our group. We don't have a right to think about anything except on our performing better than we did on Saturday. So we have to really focus on ourselves and to play really our game. And this is my point of view. Every match is important. So we didn't play good, so we have to lift our self-confidence until this match of Saturday. We have to win this and to start even more relaxed in the upcoming matches.
Not looking at Group C, your group, but looking at Group A, B, and D. What was the biggest surprise for you on this first weekend?
Of course, Larvik Rostov. I would choose this match maybe for the surprise, because I know how it's hard to win at a Larvik court and how good they are. But also I had the opportunity to play against Rostov here on the tournament in August. So I cannot say that I'm so surprised about this victory, you know, because Rostov has very nice team and a team which is working very hard, as I heard from them from a few months already. So I was watching a little bit this match. I didn't have too much time, but I would choose this match like 6 goals victory from Rostov. I think that nobody in the handball world expected.
Are they? How you say? Well, Peter, how did Larvik? Let's talk about this game. What was the reaction in Larvik after this one?
They more or less blamed it all on the way they started the match, the way that they got so far behind from at an early stage, and I think that was not really the point. Of course, they got up to a terrible start, but they certainly didn't make it better as the game got along. They say in their website that the title is not handed out on the first match day, and of course that is true. But still, those results follow you all the way through the preliminary round and also the main round, the way the system is in this tournament. So losing 2 points at home against a possible contender, that's always a serious issue. And if you lose again the away game also to Rostov, then that will be 4 points missing in the main round, as we must expect both those teams to go on to the main round. And that will be 4 points that Rostov don't have and Larvik don't have. So a defeat in the first round may always be a serious matter, especially if it's at home against a contender for the title. So I might take this a little bit more serious than Larvik seem to do. This is a match which the results, the performance from Larvik that set some accents all the way through the tournament, the way I see it.
Rostov Don obviously made one of the biggest transfers ahead of this season by already. I mean, it was announced earlier, but now Katrina Lunde is their goalkeeper. Andrea, for you, which were the biggest transfers, and which teams, taking Vardar aside, which teams probably made good choices on the transfer market?
I would put her name on the top of the list. Katrina, I was her teammate 2 years, so I really know how valuable goalkeeper she is and what she has behind her. And it's an amazing thing that the club took her, because I think it was really hard to get her there. So I think this is the first list. After we're going to go with GSM Bucharest. They got a few players, and they have really big squad with the big names. So I really say that they did also a good job. We just need to see how the season will go. But from the start, I would say that those are the names like Wulden and also Jorgensen. Those are the players who went there, Fisker and a lot of them. And I think it's really a good shopping for them.
Hmm. Which team do you think can surprise us this season? I mean, you've named your favorites, but which team could be this season's surprise package?
I had opportunity during the August to play against Fleury, and I think that they can be pretty interesting. I thought that they are going to win in Thuringen in this moment, but at the end it was not like this. But for me, they're really hard to play against them. They're physically very powerful, and you never know what they're going to do. So they're totally not predictive type of the team. So I think they could be one of the nice surprises. And Bayamar also has a nice team, so we will see what they're going to do. But I think it's going to be interesting this season.
I open this up to you guys. Do you have any questions to Andrea, Peter, Nemanja, Bence?
I always have a question for Andrea, but I'm going to leave it for a private one.
Do you have one that's can publicly uttered?
I will. No. No public ones.
Just checking here. Okay. Well, Andrea, I would say. Thank you very much for joining this hangout. It's been fantastic having you here, and we wish you all the best for the rest of the season. It's very early, so basically for the entire season.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. All the best also for your side.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yep.
All right, guys. Let's move into it. Hands up. Who was surprised by this Vardar Gjør result?
I think we all were. It definitely was one of the results I hadn't seen coming. The Gjør win in Skopje and Rostov win in Larvik were definitely the surprises of the weekend to me.
You also raised your hand, Bence. So. I mean, I asked you whether it was expected or whether it was a surprise. Maybe going a bit deeper. What made this Gjør team stronger than you expected it to be? Maybe at this point of the season.
Well, it's hard to say what made them strong. First of all, their defense worked very well, and Vardar's defense didn't work at all in the first half. Which was important for Gjør's victory. Even though they lost yet another player, down to injury. And also, Amorim was coming back, from almost a year-long injury, and she didn't really have a good game. Now, if somebody said to me that Djur lost another key player down to injury, plus Amorim was not playing very well, I wouldn't say that they stood a chance in Turkey, and yet they won. So they must have done something very well, you could tell. But still, individual performances were excellent. I mean, you had Soland, who was very good, growth, scored a lot of goals, not only crucial goals, I mean, in clutch minutes, and also Kovacic, who's deployed at the wing again. I will never understand why, but she's good there too. But she's a playmaker. So I think it was down to their solidity in defense and their individual performances.
Has this already changed the way you're into this season? Like, starting with, such an important away win at against such an arguably strong team, or are they still playing it a bit low key after last season?
Well, you can't tell this. I have a feeling that even the players of Djur didn't have a clue how good they were or what they could achieve. It was, a lot has changed. Anticipation and pressure is still on. I mean, everybody's expecting this team. Just, based on the names of the roster, you can see everybody's expecting this team to win all the games. But still, first of all, this is a team that is still forming. And secondly, it's due to a lot of changes that this team's been through. You could never tell what to expect from them. So I'm not saying that they're going to lose the next game at home, but you could expect a little bit of a roller coaster ride, or at least for the beginning of the season.
Talking about it, I have to ask Nemanja a question. I mean, he already left to get a drink or so. So I think he's getting well. He needs to get his tactics books out. We're getting a question in here whether whether coaching can make a difference. And what Streck Spiller asks if here on Twitter are Ambros Martin and Dragan Acic in a class of their own. Do I get a nod from you, Nemanja? And is this consistency in coaching something that might make a difference over this season?
Well, at this point in time, I believe it is. Well, Acic and Ambros Martin are in a class of their own, but Jan Pitlik is somewhere down there. If not along with them, he's very near, because he also has Indira Kastratovic, because both of them make for a perfect coach. But you got to make it work. Since we were talking about Vardar, it's kind of a bridge. But what Martin and Acic are doing for their team, it's more about consistency and the whole system that they fit in than the impact that actually Pitlik has had in Vardar, for example. The impact that Pitlik has made was evident last season when they beat Djur, and it was kind of an overnight shift in focus, in assignments, in everything. And it's a fine example of what we've seen at the final. For example, Maja Sokac is playing a very big role in the team, and before that she was a big part player. But let me just switch back to Budućnost. I'm really hoping to see Djur against Budućnost, because I'm very eager to see what each of the tacticians are going to produce come through. And both teams can endure the changes of their own. If you see Budućnost team, not many significant changes, not many departures, but too many young players are actually taking responsibility. But I'm going to leave space to talk about it a little bit later. I don't want to hijack the entire hangout.
Staying with coaches for a bit, Peter, do you think that Jan Leslie can also bring permanent, constant success to Rostov-Don, and that. I mean, I don't believe that this win in Larvik was a one-off, but maybe there's even the possibility for more come the main round, come the quarterfinals.
I think that he has already added a lot of stability and new impulses to the Rostov team. It seems to me that he has added some of the so-called Scandinavian handball school to the team and combined it with some of the finest virtues of Russian handball. And we all saw the result in the Arena Larvik on this weekend, where I was really impressed of what he has made out of that team. Of course, they have some star players, but let's face it, if we compare the team rosters of the teams who are in this competition, we will probably not rate Rostov in among the top 4 or 5 teams, looking only at the players on the team sheets. But if we look at what he has made out of those many talented players, also players who are maybe not or may not be all that internationally well known, one can only be impressed. So I definitely don't think it was a one-off what we saw in Larvik. I've been one of those who have been doubting or having my doubts about Rostov, partly because they are debutants in the Champions League, and partly because what I saw of them in the EHF Cup last season, where they collapsed completely in the first leg of the final against Kosovo. But I must say this team has undergone some changes over summer, and I'm really excited to see what they can perform this season. From being a dark horse in the tournament, if they even was that, or if they even were that before the start of the season of the tournament, I think they've turned into one of the absolute contenders for a Final Four spots. Not only thanks to Jan Leslie, and of course I don't want to sound too much like a nationalist, but it's very easy to see his hand and his handprint on the team too, I think.
Straight away following up on this, got a question here from Laura Agena on Twitter, and there are quite a few Danes coaching this time in the Women's Champions League. What about Rasmussen in Bucharest? Obviously hasn't been with the team for that long, but Laura asks, can he replicate what he did with the Poland national team in such a short time?
I think it's too early to say, as you just said, and as we all know, he has only been in the job for a very short time, and we never know how long the coaches stay in the job in that club. But so far we can see that he got off with a win, and I was actually pretty impressed by watching him on the bench and watching the way he was coaching and leading his team in their first match against Lublin. Of course, they did have some trouble, and it actually took them one half to crack that opponent. But it was quite fascinating to see the concentrated and focused way he worked with his players on the bench, and also to listen in on his timeouts. I mean, usually you can judge a lot about a coach by listening to his timeouts and how he actually uses those, and I was quite impressed by what Rasmussen did there. So maybe he's the right man for the team, but only time can show. I would hesitate a lot to make any firm predictions right now.
What's your impression of this Bucharest team, Nemanja?
Well, I'm going to start by saying that I'm a fan of Rasmussen, but I'm also, as Peter said, a bit cautiously optimistic about what he will do, because he's been there for a very short while. They endured very difficult times recently with the coaching change and everything developing unexpectedly. But I really liked the team. I liked them past season, and I like them even more right now. I think that they are contenders. I think that they can be a surprise, and well, only time will tell how much the individual quality will transfer into team play on the court. But they definitely have potential, and well, it will be up to Kim Rasmussen and the front runners in the division. I'm very eager, and I'm anticipating some very good team plays from them. Speaking of their chances, just looking at their group, it's well, to say that it's a difficult group would be an understatement, and I really think that to take anything from the group like that, it will be a good achievement. And well, at this point of time, they're first, so good job for them for now.
Bence, when we talk about the Women's Champions League, obviously in Hungary, there is a lot of focus on Europe. But I mean, let's not forget that we actually have 2 Hungarian teams here, and FTC started with a 12-goal victory against Podravka Vigeta this season. Do you? And they are the champions. I mean, it's. Do they benefit from kind of sailing a bit under the radar, you reckon?
I don't. Yeah, they are the defending champions in Hungary. They beat Győr, which is something that nobody would expect them to do. Even if you know that Győr was really down in the season under last year, but still, Ferencváros have a good team, have some very good players, but also losing Zsuzsa Tóri, who's the focal point and the clutch player both in defense and attack, and they're not in a situation to just sign their quality. I mean, this means a lot for them to even not having to play in the qualifiers and to be in a group where they can match the other teams. That is a good thing for them. But they will have problems. We will see in the next 2 rounds when they meet teams with good defense. Good defenses. If you saw the game during there versus Lori, those are tall balls, aggressive defenses, and Ferencváros made problems dealing with them. But I'm not saying they have international talent and they can match anybody, especially in home court. Ferencváros, they don't play in Budapest. They don't play. They play 30 kilometers from Budapest, but still they have a very good crowd, and they travel with the team as well. Or on home court, they will be almost impossible.
Can I make a short question for Bence?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Since you said that the team is from Budapest, but they're not playing in the heart of the city, how big it is to have a Champions League in such a big city as Budapest?
I'm sorry, I couldn't catch the beginning.
How big it is for Hungarian handball to have a team from Budapest in the Champions League?
Well, when the last Budapest team went bankrupt, I mean men's team went bankrupt, actually handball moved from Budapest. If you speak Győr, Szeged, Csúrból, handball has moved from Budapest, and there are efforts to move it back. And there were claims for Ferencváros. There's a new hall. It's not new, but it was just refurbished, and there were attempts that Ferencváros should play their home games there. It's in Budapest, actually. But I don't know what happened to those plans. The first thing I know, they were playing in Dobas again, which is a very small, I wouldn't say a village, but a very small town. With a nice hall, by the way. But the question is good. Everybody's concerned about this because, people say that the Hungarian league is the strongest in Europe. Women's league, of course, and still there are no quality handball in Budapest, and this is something to change.
Thanks.
Nemanja, continue with you because I think we need to spend some time talking about Budućnost. All the same. And is that the recipe for success? No big signings. Arguably, some new players who have made an impact on younger age category level joining the teams. But Budućnost doesn't seem to be the team taking Vlatovic also in the past aside. who's making the big signings.
Well, indeed, but I did have a chat with Dragan Hadžić, as I usually do, and we talked
You
about
have coffee with him every day.
Oh yeah, over Skype and everything. Yeah, yeah, but we did have a chat, and one of the highlights of the conversation were what kind of change are these youngsters going to bring to Budućnost? Because I know that they are making a project out there. It's one of the very few teams. When I say very few, I'm taking into consideration that there are 5 or 6 teams that are making a project of that magnitude in Europe. To really look 4 or 5 seasons ahead when you're talking about the roster, and they do. And I've been following their generation of '96. Literally won everything that has to be won in the youth categories. And I said, well, how are you going to implement them in such a world-class team when you have Bulatovic, when you have Knežević, now Radičević, and the likes? How are these youngsters going to handle the pressure of playing against them while until yesterday they were playing youth handball? And he said, well, we're gonna take them step by step. Some of them are very much ready and aware. We just kept them quiet, and some of them are going to be a surprise. And as you've seen, one of the surprises is well, and at the match against Savic, one of the surprises in the Budućnost sheet is Jelković. Virginia Jelković is actually 19 years old, and she's one of the biggest prospects in European handball. Speaking of that, they're implementing some changes, and they're trying to make specific players to fit specific tasks in the team. They're trying to move from the 6-0 defense. They're trying to make a little bit more variety in their attack. They're trying to make the most of the fast breaks and transitional defense.
They've scored 33 goals. I think that's a long time ago that Budućnost scored 33 goals in one game. That's a big change.
That's true.
No, joke aside, and question to all of you. Is Budućnost again the strongest side in the competition? And who is their most likely contender?
Well, can I start for somebody else? Well, for me, yeah. For me, they definitely put their contenders' credentials against Savic, which I rate very highly. I'm looking forward to see them against Bure, as I've said, and I think that Vardar are not 100% yet. So that's my view on it. But yeah, contenders #1 so far, Budućnost.
Peter, are they your #1 choice for?
They are definitely one of the hottest candidates to win the tournament once again, in my opinion. As I said when we had our CL forum on Twitter last Wednesday, Budućnost is definitely a team I'm absolutely sure to see at least in the Final Four. I may not be that fortunate about a few of my other predictions, as for instance I always also had Larvik among those. I stick to that so far though, because a lot of things may still happen along as a tournament gets along. Also the injured players of Larvik may get fit. But back to Budućnost, I think that they're definitely one of the top contenders once again, maybe exactly due to the fact that they have not made all those big signings. Continuity is also a very important factor in handball, and we have seen that the players in Budućnost so far have absolutely been good enough for this top level, and there's no reason to believe that they should in any way be any weaker this season. And with the same coach also, it seems that continuity speaks in favor of Budućnost, definitely.
Bence, Budućnost, biggest contender for the title for you too?
Yeah, I think so. And Peter said continuity, and I think that's the key word, because this team's been together under a great coach. So they are the favorites to win. But I would say that Rostov-Don, don't forget the kind of, the Russian national team, you would say, with Lunda in goal, and if that team really comes together, that could cause problems. And of course, Vardar, I must say. However, I wanted to ask Andrea. I don't know why I asked it. What happened to the fans in Skopje? That was half house. What happened there? Nemanja, do you know anything?
Well, I think it's only the beginning, and well, the Men's Champions League are going full steam, and the fans just need a little bit of time to get back to where they were last season. But I'm sure that after what happened, they're going to have more fans in Jannes and Danski, because they're quite a big strength to the team.
Right.
I was surprised too, but well, I think that more of them are going to come. Yeah.
We're getting another question here from Straxpiller in here via Twitter. Peter, I throw this to you, and it leads us straight looking ahead at round 2 next weekend. And he mentions 2 names. So Midtjylland, with the force of Tina Østergaard and Veronica Christiansen and co, can they bring down Gjør next round when they travel to Hungary? What do you think, Peter?
I would be very surprised to see Midtjylland being able to bother Gjør much. At least if I compare what I've seen of Midtjylland this season and compare that to what I saw from Gjør in Skopje this weekend. I would say if I was going to base my prediction on what I saw from Gjør about a month ago in Drammen in Norway, where they played the qualification group against when they met the local team Glasgow in the final, I might have seen a bit more of a chance for Midtjylland, because back then they did not exactly convince me, but I must say some changes have come to the team and to their performance and to their form in the meantime. So I think that Midtjylland will have quite a hard time in this coming weekend. Midtjylland have had a slightly shaky start to the season. I don't put too much weight onto that, because it takes time to get new players adjusted into the team, and they've had to replace several players on key positions. But I still think we will see more from Midtjylland in the future. After all, we are talking about the winners of the Winners' Cup last season. Of course, there is a big step from winning the Winners' Cup to competing in the Champions League, and there should be, but I still think that at least we will see Midtjylland in the main round, but it will not be based on taking any points or win them home from Hungary, because I don't think they will.
Same question to you, Gjør. Do you think Midtjylland potentially has what it takes to more than tease Gjør next weekend?
Well, I think here the question remains the same for Gjør. It's more about Gjør than about Midtjylland. Midtjylland certainly have what it takes to win Gjør. I'm sure of that. But the question here is about Gjør. Which phase of the team we will see? Because if they play to their potential and they play 70% of what they've shown in Skopje, they will emerge as winners. I'm sure of that.
Nemanja, you agree?
Well, yeah, I do. Well, but the thing is that form is a very, very funny category to talk about, because both teams are on the rise, and if you time your form too early, you're going to experience a fall, and if you time your form too late, you're going to struggle at the beginning. We've seen it far too often, and I'm looking forward to the match actually, and I anticipate not an easy match, but I still agree with Bence. To show 70–60% of what it's done in Skopje is going to be enough.
Peter, looking at the next round, what is the match of the weekend for you in this round?
What I'm looking most forward to is to see what if Larvik will rise in a very, very difficult game against Bayamara. They definitely did not impress me, to put it a bit diplomatically, against Rostov-Don, and now they're going for a very, very difficult away game against Bayamara and against a strong team and on a very, very difficult away ground. So I'm really excited to see what happens there. If Larvik loses that one, also they will be with 0 points for 2 matches. First of all, I can't remember when Larvik has got such a bad start to the Champions League campaign last, and furthermore, it will hamper them all the way through to the quarterfinals, as they will be then having lost 4 points against other teams who will be joining them in the main round and probably the quarterfinals. So I'm really excited to see how they perform there. Maybe they can't win even if they improve their performance a lot, but I'm really looking forward to see what they can do after that terrible start they got against Oskarsson. So that's probably what I'm looking most forward to see. From a national point of view, I'm of course also very interested to see what Midtjylland can do in Hungary against Gør, and of course I cross my fingers for them. But as I said, I have my doubts about the chances at this time of the season. I agree with Bence that they have what it takes to defeat Gør, at least if Gør don't play at the absolutely best. But I think the chances will be better when Gør visits EHF in the second round or second go through on the group phase.
Nemanja, what is your match of the weekend?
Oh, my match of the weekend, well, there big competition. I'm looking forward to Weimar Larvik. A lot of answers there. If you're talking about the upcoming matches, yes? Yeah. There is a lot of answers there. Also, Ludwig Gillismith, because that is told me that this picture is the biggest one in the group for him, and that's quite a statement. So these two will be on my list. Also, I'll be very very keen to follow Krim, because that's one that's flying under the radar right now. I think that it's got potential to be a very 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 good team.
Bence, your match of the weekend?
I really want to see Fleury Ferencváros, because that is a very very balanced group. And there's not too much to judge from the first round, so the picture will be clearer after this game. And I really want to see what Ferencváros can do against such a great defense. Fleury, and also this should be fun. This promises a good game.
Fleury has been named in our CL forum. Has been named by Andrea as kind of the dark horse, a bit of a surprise package. Is that what you regard them as well, Bence? Do you see them as a team that can surprise us, surprise us in Group B and potentially further on?
Yeah, they're missing Champions League routine, although that is a good team, obviously. Runners-up from the Governors' Cup. They have great players, although they had important departing players too. But you could see what to play, how they want to play handball, and I really like this. They have the fighting spirit, and they also it's not only about defense. It's about their overall performance. And there were a good 10 minutes when they played top drawer handball, really top quality, and there were other 10 minutes when they made 10 or 15 technical errors in 10 minutes. So it was maybe it's down to the fact that it's their first season in the Champions League. But as they get routine, they will be a dangerous opponent for everybody. I think not for everybody, but not in this year. But, they play good handball, and I really suggest that everybody should watch them.
Nemanja, according to their logo, Fleury, there are the Panthers, the Dark Panthers. The Dark Panthers equals the Dark Horse?
For me, yeah. Well, I don't know how much of it is public knowledge, but Andrea said they played 2 matches on their mini preparations to the Final Four last season. And, since they were selected to prepare for the likes of Ludwigsnost and the other Final Four participants, they must possess the quality to match the World Cup Vardar. Also, Andrea Lekic told me about great things about Fleury. They said that they surprised them. They really made them worked on their chances. They really made great preparations for it, and I think that what they had last season transfers perfectly into this season's Champions League. Dark Horse, Dark Panthers, Dark something definitely.
Peter, will we see a French rise of the women's EHF Champions League?
Well, maybe not this season, but I definitely see Fleury as an interesting newcomer to this competition, and I think they might be able to give this and opponent a hard time. They impressed me a bit already in the first round by taking the point away against a well-established and experienced Champions League team like Thüringen. I know that Thüringen are seriously bothered by injury at the moment, but still, it was quite a performance, and I think we may see more interesting things from this season. But I don't see them as a contender for the title. But they can get some points along the way, which we might not expect in advance.
Guys, Peter just mentioned the Final Four, which brings us, always the end of these early season hangouts. I can make this very quick because I think Peter and Nemanja, you two also mentioned your Final Four predictions in last week's CL Forum. Budućnost, Vardar, Gjør, and Larvik, do you still stick to these four? Now it's still the time to change. Not from Nemanja, Peter?
For me, it will be it would be a bit cowardice to change already. I think so. So I will choose to stick to my four so far, but I know the risk is there, and that I might be wrong on one or two positions, and that risk has increased over the weekend. But so far, I'll keep ice in my stomach, as we say in Denmark, and stick to my predictions.
Okay, Bence, your four teams for the Final Four.
I agree with most of them, but I would replace Larvik with Rostov-Don.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure having you here. Even though she's already offline, I want to thank Andrea Lekic again. Fantastic having her here on the Hangout. I hope everyone who's watching it enjoyed it. We'll be back in just about 2 weeks' time with another VLEX EHF Champions League Hangout. I hope to see you all there. Thank you very much. Enjoy and have a good night. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.